Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Betting Pros NFL Week 10 morning live stream brought to you by BetMGM, where you can get a risk-free bet of up to $1,000 when you use the highly original promo code BettingPros with your first deposit. He's Fitz. I'm Freedman, Pat Fitzmaurice, and Matthew Freeman here to highlight our favorite NFL bets for the weekend. Fitz, that intro music. We've got to talk to producer Chris. That's not like the hype music that tends to get me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I need something with a little more guitar.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, man. It's like, you're going to a rave and there's like a slow dance song at a rave. I don't understand what the vibe is there.
Yeah, we sound so old. Anyway, speaking of old, it's week 15. No, it's not week 15. It's week 10, but it feels like week 15. We've reached the double-digit point of the season, past the midway point. Fitz, you crushed last week with your home under onslaught bit. How's it going?
Good, man. That was the first really good week, I think, since week one. Other than that, it's been just like fighting the juice through the whole time. So that worked out pretty well, man. Let's see if we can make it 2 in a row.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get into it. The first game we were both looking at right here, Steelers. Across the market, this was plus 2.5 early in the week, plus 1.5. Some books now it is -1 actually at BetMGM again, where you can get that risk-free bet of up to $1,000 with the promo code BettingPros. But this number is still +1. I'm looking at right now, still +1 at FanDuel, still +1 at Caesars. Fitz, we're both on the same side of this. We like the Steelers. Talk to me about what you're seeing.
Yeah, so I like Mike Tomlin as a home underdog against a sub 500 team. Like that's for starters. Also, I mean, I kind of like that Kenny Pickett had the bye week for a rookie quarterback to sort of rest, clear his head, study film. Maybe he comes out looking a little better. We often see that. Like he looked okay, and then there was almost some decline in his first few games after, I don't know, maybe defenses saw a little bit of film on him. So hopefully he comes back a little fresher. And the return of TJ Watt is huge for the Steelers. Like they have the third worst pressure rates in the league right now. And, despite that, their pass defense hasn't been terrible. They've given up a lot of yards to wide receivers, but I think in DVOA, they're like 21st, so not catastrophic. But man, like Watt has been a one-man pass rush for them at times, and they really need that from him. And the one thing that does kind of worry me here, Friedman, and maybe you can speak to this, like we're kind of going against Massey Peabody here, which we have cited frequently in the past. Like on a neutral field, their numbers say the Saints are about 6 points better, which seems, I don't know, that seems a little high to me. So maybe like we're losing value here betting the Steelers, but I still feel like this is the right percentage play.
Yeah, so obviously a ton of respect for Massey Peabody. Rufus is one of the best sports bettors alive and in history. But I will say one thing, and Rufus has talked about this as a feature of their rankings. They don't take non-quarterbacks into account. So this line wouldn't take into account, if you're using their rankings, the return of TJ Watt and the fact that there are a number of games impacting how the rankings have been created that don't have TJ Watt in them. And those rankings wouldn't take into account the fact that your left guard, Andrews Pete, is out, and your center, Eric McCoy, is out for the Saints. And you attach that next to the fact that they've been without their starting left tackle all year. That means the entirety of the left side of their offensive line is backups right now. And you have TJ Watt returning. I mean, that's massive. And I will say, I do not think that the typical home field advantage that we might be giving to a lot of teams applies to the Steelers. Like they have a real home field advantage at what used to be Heinz Field and now Acrisure. But they have a real home field advantage. Mike Tomlin at home has been strong against the spread. Tomlin as an underdog in general has been strong against the spread. And you put those two things together, Tomlin 15-3-3 against the spread as a home underdog. I mean, this is the Mike Tomlin spot here. And I mentioned it, that Saints offensive line horribly beat up. You have TJ Watt returning, and in the interior of that defensive line, you've got two really strong players in Cameron Hayward and Larry Ogunjobi. I don't see how, whether they're passing the ball or they're running the ball, the Saints offense is going to be able to operate at the level that it has up to this point with all the injuries they have on the offensive line. So I have this projected as Steelers slight favorites, Steelers favored by 0.5 point. So if I can get them still at +1, I will be very happy to do it. So we were both on the side of that game here. The next game that you were looking at, and I'm on the same side with you here, Chiefs hosting the Jaguars. Tell me what you like about this game.
Well, I like that Patrick Mahomes has been thermonuclear since the start of October. He's averaged 349.6 passing yards a game and 2.6 touchdown passes. And he's going up against a Jaguars pass defense that is highly exploitable, 27th in DVOA against the pass on the season, 30th over the last 4 weeks. And last week's 27-20 win for the Jaguars over the Raiders snapped a 5-game losing streak, during which they had averaged just 17.6 points a game. So it's kind of hard to see how they hang with the Chiefs in this one. I mean, they got 27 last week against the worst defensive team in the league, the Raiders. I don't think that's necessarily a sign of them breaking out of their offensive slump. Trevor Lawrence has thrown 3 touchdown passes in the last 5 weeks. I mean, this just does not seem like an offense that can hang with the Chiefs. Now, granted, the Chiefs have burned me as big favorites before. Like they are like the cat that catches the mouse and wants to play with it instead of just killing it sometimes. And that worries me a little bit. Like they're 3-1 at home this year, but they have not won a home game by more than 3 points. So I have to admit there's like an aspect to this bet that makes me a little bit nervous, but just like looking at these two offenses, I mean, it just seems like such a gross mismatch that I'm happy to take it at 8.5 or I think it went up to 9 on DraftKings this morning.
Yeah, I mean, it's 9.5 at some places, 9.5 at BetMGM, where it's been at 9.5 for a lot of the week. It's 9 at DraftKings, 8.5 at FanDuel and PointsBet. So, I mean, I will say, like, I'm with you. The market is moving against us. I kind of don't care. I still like Patrick Mahomes in the spot. And man, this might sound bad to say, but Trevor Lawrence, it feels like he's got a little too much Jay Cutler to him. Like it feels like he could be a good quarterback who makes the exact wrong throw at the wrong time, and his team loses as a result of it. Like against the spread, and it's not just last year, it's also this year against the spread, Trevor Lawrence has not been good. So I'm with you there. I have this projected over 10. So I'm with you on the Chiefs against the Jags here. The game I'm looking at here for my second pick, the Raiders against the Colts. I mean, come on. By the way, speaking of the Raiders, we're giving away a free. I should get to this here. So let me get to the overlay. Nailed it. All right. We're giving away a free signed Josh Jacobs Raiders jersey from Pristine Auction. If you want a chance to win it, subscribe to the BettingPros YouTube channel right now and comment below on the video. We will announce a winner on the channel in a future episode. So turn on those notifications. All right. I mean, seriously, what is this line? Okay. 4.5. This should be over 7. All right. My mind is blown. And I will say, like, there's a good chance I'm wrong because the market has moved against me. Earlier in the week, this was 6. But you've got an interim head coach in Jeff Saturday who's never coached an NFL or college game. He's never served on an NFL or college staff. He was a losing head coach in high school football. Okay. Like he has some serious Ted Lasso vibes going on. The interim offensive coordinator, Parks Frazier, I'm not convinced that's his real name. That sounds like a fake name. All right. The name of the villain in an 80s movie. All right. He's never coordinated an offense or called plays at any level. All right. And then you have the third string quarterback, Sam Ehlinger, who's starting with 6th-round draft pedigree, just 2 starts in the NFL and 5 adjusted yards per attempt in the NFL. This is a recipe for disaster. I think the Colts are going to be extremely conservative on offense. Like Saturday has already said, he does not plan to be as aggressive as Frank Reich was on 4th downs. He's going to be totally fine settling for field goals and field position. I think they're going to run the ball. Like he's, that, not to say he's like a meathead or anything like that, but he's got that like mentality of I'm an offensive lineman. We're going to dominate you in the trenches. And that means running the ball. The thing is, they haven't been that good running the ball this year. They've been pretty horrible at it. So even though you have now like an offensive lineman head coach, like put him in at center. He'd probably help your offensive line more than he's going to help it on the sideline. The Colts have been last or second to last in every key run efficiency metric. And they're going against a Raiders run defense that isn't bad. Like they've actually been number 5 in rush EPA. Like their run defense is the strength of that Raiders defense, which isn't good, but it's at least been good enough against the run. So this is like a tragicomedy on offense for the Colts. And if Josh McDaniels can't win handily, if he can't cover this 4.5 points, he should be fired. He should be the next coach fired. And then Jeff Saturday should replace him. Okay. So I'm on the Raiders. I have this at 7.5. I don't know. Fitz, do you have any opinion on this game?
Yeah, there's something that kind of worries me about this, Freedman, from that perspective. Like that the Raiders are dead last in defensive DVOA this year. Yeah. And I think the Colts are 11th. So like the Colts are actually, they've got a professional defense. Yeah. And, you mentioned the Raiders aren't bad against the run, but they're horrible against the pass. And like, can Sam Ellinger take advantage? I don't know. I mean, he's got some pretty good pass catchers with Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, Paris Campbell, but
I know it's vulnerable. It makes me scared. Like I can see how they lose this game or how they don't cover, but I don't see the Colts actually wanting to air it out all that often.
Yeah. And like, what's the Colts incentive to win here? I mean, like, I think Jeff Saturday's hire was almost like a clear waving of the white flag for this organization. Like, hey, we should position ourselves to get one of these good quarterbacks in this draft because we are basically stranded without a franchise quarterback right now. So, you don't often see teams make this sort of move in season. And when you do, you normally replace your head coach with some sort of veteran assistant, not a guy who is coaching a losing high school football team. So, I can see both sides of this. I've got like a tiny little money line bet on the Colts in this one. So
that hurts my heart. Sorry, man. It's a tease. We're going to talk about it later. By the way, Dylan O'Donnell in the comments said he's feeling that intro music. So maybe we'll take that into account when we talk with the producer, Chris.
If Dylan likes it, I'm in, man.
Okay. All right. So another game here that has caught our eye, obviously, with the Josh Allen news. Fitz, Bills hosting the Vikings. What are you doing here?
What a roller coaster ride. Well, first of all, I like that I took it when it was 3.5. At one point this week. And
what an oracle.
I thought the Bills could have covered 3.5 with Case Keenum anyway. Like, we know, Freedman, this Vikings team is like, they are not as good as their 7-1 record. Like during their current 6-game winning streak, the only team with a winning record that they've beaten is Miami. And all 6 of their wins during the streak have been by 1 score. Like they are not blowing teams out of the water by any means. There are other victims in addition to the Dolphins, the Lions, Saints, Bears, Cardinals, and Commanders. So I don't know how impressive this streak really is. The Vikings are 18th in overall DVOA behind the Jaguars, Broncos, Falcons, and Titans. So DVOA does not think very much of this team. Yeah, I mean, I think they're about to get exposed in Buffalo. Oh, and by the way, the Vikings are an indoor team, and it's going to be about 40 degrees at kickoff in Buffalo. Yeah. And with the stiff northwest breeze, it's going to feel more like 30. So I think this is Bills weather and not Vikings weather. And look, the Josh Allen thing is obviously skewing the line. But do you think the Bills would put their franchise quarterback out on the field if they had any concerns about this, like being a potential long-term thing in a year where they have designs on a championship? Like, I don't think so. I think Josh Allen is going to be fine.
Yeah. Hat tip to you getting in at 3.5. You and I are polar opposites on this. I'm the bad luck guy who bet this early in the look ahead market at 9.5. So we're collectively balancing out at the 6.5 in the market right now, but we got there through very different means. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm totally with you in terms of how you are viewing that game. I'm looking at Dolphins hosting the Browns. 3.5 is the number in the market, and that's the line where I logged it in the smooth transition about to happen right here. That is where I logged it in the BettingPros app, where you can sync up with sports books. You can get free betting advice and picks. You can track different experts, track line movement, track your own bets. And you can also get sports betting alerts. We monitor all the major sports books, so you can see which book is offering the best line on a bet at any given moment. So download the app today in the Apple or Google Play Store. All right, so I am looking at Dolphins hosting the Browns. Tua's 10-4 against the spread at home. I think they do have a real home field advantage there in Miami. And obviously, Tua, you can look at the passing efficiency numbers to see that he's having a great season. But really, I think a key for this game is the other side of the ball for them. The Dolphins are pretty good in run defense this year, top 10 in a number of efficiency metrics. And we know that the Browns are going to want to run the ball. That's just what their offense is built on. But I don't know if they're going to be able to do it all that well. Or as well as they normally do going against a defense that is pretty strong against the run, not as good against the pass. Defensive tackles, Christian Wilkins, Zach Zeiler, both of those guys have strong PFF run defensive grades. So you have the Browns, maybe without right guard Wyatt Teller. So just something to pay attention to here. If the Browns can't run the ball with their usual success, I don't think they're going to be able to sustain drives and keep the Dolphins offense on the sideline. So I have this at Dolphins minus 5.5. All right, Fitz, let's look at some of the over-unders here. It's not that I really want to talk about the Cowboys-Packers game. It's not like you want to talk about it either, but it is a game that is being played today, and you are looking at the total here.
Yeah, our favorite team's Freedman.
I know.
Freedman is a Cowboys fan. I'm a Packers fan. I think Freedman is going to have bragging rights after this one. So the Cowboys are number one in defensive DVOA, and they've played up to it all year. Really good in coverage, great at generating pressure, and they're going against an offense that hasn't scored more than 22 points in a game since October 2nd, and an offense that just scored 9 points against the Detroit Lions last week. The Detroit freaking Lions, and they scored 9 points. The Packers defense on the other side of the ball hasn't been terrible. It's giving up 20.9 points a game, and the Packers haven't given up more than 27 points all year. Cowboys really have not been explosive for much of the year, save for their Week 8 game against the Bears, where the Bears just could not contain Tony Pollard, and Pollard had a bunch of explosive runs. I don't think we see a repeat of that. Even though the Packers run defense is not good. I'm not going to say it's good, but the Bears gave up a lot of explosive runs to Tony Pollard in that game. So, and Freedman, it's going to be 36 degrees at kickoff. Another cold weather game. This just does not feel like a shootout by any means.
Yeah, so I'm with you there. You're on the under. I'm looking at Titans Broncos under 39. Let me make sure that's still the number in the market. Yeah, 39. I've got this projected at 36.5. So I am well to the under here. The Titans are 6-2 to the under. The Broncos are 7-1 to the under. So we've got two under teams here going against each other. Both teams play at a slower pace. There were reports this week that the Broncos might want to play faster coming out of the bye, but I doubt they actually will do it. Like we heard for years in Seattle that they maybe want to try to play a little bit faster, but Russell Wilson routinely takes the play clock down. So I think we're going to see a slow, inefficient game that's dominated by defense. I think the real winners of this game are going to be the people who don't watch it. Fitz, another game we're looking at here, Cardinals, Rams, and what might be a battle of two backup quarterbacks. It feels like this is the kind of game that screams under, and that is where you are looking.
Yeah, sometimes the analysis is pretty simple, Freedman. Based on all the reporting we've heard, and there were some kind of interesting nuggets about how I think it was Ian Rappaport reporting that a bunch of Colt McCoy's friends and family members suddenly bought tickets for the game where they had not had any. They want to see their guy play. John Wolford, apparently, there's been no indication in practice that they're doing anything but designing a game plan around John Wolford. So it doesn't look like Stafford is going to clear concussion protocol, or if he does, maybe they just aren't going to chance it with him. So yeah, battle of backup quarterbacks. And, we know how that usually goes in the preseason with totals of 34 in a lot of those games. And even with Matthew Stafford and Kyler Murray at the controls this year, the Rams have been 26th in offensive DVOA, and Rams 26th, Cardinals 30th. So like these have not been shining. Right. And the Rams are going to want to run the ball, but are they going to be able to? Because their offensive line stinks. They're like 32nd in adjusted line yards, which is Football Outsiders run blocking metric. And the Cardinals are 28th. So like, even if these teams want to run the ball to protect their backup quarterbacks, they probably won't be able to, because these running games are horrible. So I just this game getting to 40 points seems like it would be a huge upset.
Yeah, and this line continues to move down. It's now 38.5 at some books, and I think it will continue to move as we get closer to kickoff and people realize, oh, wait, neither starting quarterback is starting in this game. So, yeah, if you like this, I would be betting it now, because I don't see it moving up from here. A game I'm looking at, Fitz, you talked about this earlier, Bills Vikings. I'm going under 44.5. I have this projected at 43.9. So like not all that far from the current total, but I bet this earlier in the week at 48.5. Shout out me. And of course I logged it in the BettingPros app. Such a smooth, natural plug there. But I still like the under at 44.5. The Bills are 7-1 to the under. They have a great defense, top 3, if not top overall defense. And on offense, they haven't shown the desire this year to pile it on, which means they're not going to score as many points as you'd expect for an offense as good as this one is. And I think they might have more of a run heavy game plan this week to protect Josh Allen, and maybe he doesn't run the ball as much either, because, trying to protect that elbow, and he is their best runner. And then the Vikings offense, Fitz, you mentioned this, like we're skeptical of them this year. This is a great test for them going against the Bills defense. And if they don't pass with flying colors, I don't think this game goes to the over. So I am taking the under here. Fitz, another game here. West Coast game, Chargers, 49ers. You're going over 45.
Yeah, the Chargers can't stop the run. Freedman, we've seen that. And now the 49ers are equipped with Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell, who comes off IR. So, they can attack the Chargers in the soft run defense with a 2-pronged running back approach. And, the 49ers pass defense, which came out of the gates really hot, they are dead last in DVOA against the pass since week 6. So the 49ers have been really vulnerable against the pass. Yes, the Chargers are missing wide receivers Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, but they still have one of the better quarterbacks in the league in Justin Herbert. So I think Herbert is still going to be able to do business with this makeshift wide receiver core of Josh Palmer, DeAndre Carter, and Michael Bandy. So, I think this one is a good bet to go over with 2 flawed defenses here going against good offenses.
All right, so you like over Chargers 49ers. One of the rare overs that I am taking is Bears Lions over 48.5. I have this at 49.9. I bet it on Monday at 45.5. Come on, that line that was way too low on the face of it. The Bears are an over team at this point. The over has hit in 4 straight games for them, and that has coincided with 2 things. The first, Justin Fields becoming awesome. He's like Happy Gilmore once he learned how to putt. Like that, it's like all of a sudden, like a switch has been flicked, and like Justin Fields is like, he's making the right decisions much faster, right? He's getting the ball out faster. And when the guy isn't open, he's just pulling it down and taking off. And he's, clearly one of the best scramblers in the league. So, as he's been able to juice this offense, they're scoring more points. And then on the other side of the ball, the defense is coming down to earth. And especially, they traded away key players, edge Robert Quinn, linebacker Roquan Smith. That defense just is not what it used to be. So the Bears can score points, and they have points scored upon them. And that's been true for the Lions this year as well. I mean, okay, the Lions have Jeff Okudah, yet they still have a bottom 3 pass defense. And on offense, I think they can score points with a healthy Amon-Ra St. Brown. So again, this is one of the few rare overs that I do like. All right, Fitz, let's close it out here with the underdog money line parlay. You teased it earlier in the show, breaking my heart. You're going with the Colts. I will say, this does feel like the buy low spot, like the dead cat bounce. The thing is, I think this team is so bad that it's like the floor just keeps falling as the cat is falling. Anyway, Colts, you like the money line here. Talk to me.
Yeah, you and I were talking about this backstage before the curtain went up, that we just don't really love the money line underdog options this week. Like there's
Yeah.
some weeks where there are 4 or 5 good ones, and this week there are just very few. So as far as value and getting, some like a nice payout on this one, like I like the plus 175 just because I do not trust the Raiders, even though you did a great job of outlining all the issues with the Colts earlier. As I mentioned, like the Colts clearly have the better defense here.
Yeah.
Like that's the one thing we can point to where like the Colts have a decided advantage in this game. Now, everything else, I agree, points towards the Raiders in this one. But like at plus 175, I think the odds line up to maybe take a shot here if you are going for some sort of money line parlay. And I got to ask, Friedman, in your Justin Fields, Happy Gilmore analogy, would that make Dan Campbell Shooter McGavin?
Yeah, I guess that would. He does got a little bit of the shooter to him. And I gotta say, with your Colts take, I can see it. Like it's a wide range of outcomes type of situation with a coaching staff we know nothing about, and that's just kind of been inserted in the middle of the season. So yeah, I can see it. Might as well take the value and the thesis of decent defense going against Josh McDaniels, who is shown a propensity for screwing up at the end of games. Like, yeah, you can see how that works out. I'm going with the Lions here. Lions plus 125. I will take Shooter McGavin. I talked about this Lions in the Bears game. I don't think there's much separating these two teams in the spread market. This is -3. I have it projected at -7.5. So not far from a pick 'em. Divisional game. Road underdogs are doing well this year. So I will ride with the Lions. All right, to recap, Fitz and I are both on Steelers at +1. I like the Raiders -4.5. Fitz like the Chiefs at -8.5. I like the Dolphins -3.5. Fitz is on the Bills at -6.5. Okay, and then for the totals, I like the under 39 in Titans Broncos. Fitz likes under in 44.5 for Cowboys Packers. He also likes the under for that number in Bills Vikings. I have no, that's me. I like the under 44.5 in Bills Vikings. Fitz likes under 39.5 in Cardinals Rams. I am over 48.5 in Bears Lions, and Fitz is over 45 Chargers 49ers. And the money line underdog parlay to break my heart, the Colts plus 175, the Lions plus 125. Fitz, Sundays, what do you have going on for the rest of the day here?
I'm going to be doing a Twitter takeover very shortly here at 11 a.m. Eastern, taking it up to noon Eastern, and I'll be answering questions there, although traffic tends to be a little lighter when there's a game going on. So, and yeah, that's it. I guess I'll be catching the end of Seahawks Buccaneers right before the noon Central time. Noon Central games kick off.
Yeah, so I will be doing rankings all the way to kickoff, updating the BettingPros spreads and totals projection to take into account any injuries and actives. And then this evening, finalizing the first round of Week 11 BettingPros game projections. And I've already placed some look-ahead bets, which you can get in the BettingPros app. All right, that's going to do it for the NFL Week 10 BettingPros live stream. If you like the show, do us a solid, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thanks for tuning in. Good luck, and see you next episode.